What is up, everybody? It's been a long time since I've been on here, but I definitely wanted to reach out because it was time for another boxing video because I love comic books. The Ring actually came out with their new comic. I want to show you guys right here. This was issue number 1. So it was released today on June 3rd. It's called The Man Who Beat the Man because we know that's talking about the ring because if you beat the man, you are the man. It doesn't matter if you were WBC, WBO, WBA, IBF. It's all about that ring. And so that's what they're doing here. Dark Horse Comics is actually running it. And I don't want you guys to just run away from this video. You need to listen to this and pay attention because this just goes to show how people are not paying attention. Look at this, all right? But first, before I get really into it, let's talk about who actually did this. So the two artists, Elisa Ramboli, Yolanda Zanfardino, they were the artists, and then you had the writer who was Gail Simone of Dark Horse Comics. All right. So let's talk about this comic. All right. This was issue number 1, Man Who Beat the Man. I have panel shots that I'm going to show you guys, but it starts off all wrong to begin with. It starts off all wrong. So first, you got the first couple pages. You're supposed to be going back in history. It goes back to 5000 BC, where you see an older gentleman coming in, I guess an elder you would call him. He has somebody that's right behind him, of course. He's kind of coming in as somebody who organized this event because you see the fighters waiting on him. He draws a line in between the two fighters. And then all of a sudden, he goes to the side and he's collecting money or gold from the people in the audience. All right. And then after the fight, because one guy knocks the other guy out, after the fight, he gives one guy 3 pieces of gold. And you see he has 3 pieces of gold that he's going to give to the guy that got knocked out. He throws the 3 pieces down. He goes to pick up 2 pieces because he's as if to say, you don't deserve all 3 pieces for your fight. And then he takes off. And then they kind of just transition from that past to the present. Like that had absolutely nothing to do with it. And this is where it really goes haywire because you go to the present. There's the champ who's this, Thor guy. I called him Odin's son, Muhammad Odin's son, because the way they have him standing over his opponent on the cover of the magazine. And that is the champ. So the champ is taken out. I believe this guy is Marcus King. Yeah, Marcus Mercury King. So the champ's taking him on and he's beating him up. All right. The problem is when he knocks down Marcus King, look at the count. Look at the count. The count is actually going down versus going up. It's literally going 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. That is not how a ref counts.
Now that's some unscrupulous shit.
So I don't even know how this even passed the quality check. So this comic should have never been out. I love comic books. Matter of fact, speaking of comic books, I got this Spider-Man Brand New Day that I'm going to be getting through here soon. That's another one I'm trying to read through before the movie comes out in late July. But aside from that, we're talking about this Ring comic. How does that happen? And that's only one thing. So I'm just giving you the overview. This is not the greatest comic. I'm still going to continue reading and I'm hoping that it gets better because it seems the story is going to follow Marcus King. Am I saying his name right? Yeah. It seems like the story is going to follow Marcus King and how he comes back from that loss to the champ. Because they show him losing to the champ. They do an interview on the side to the Bear, and that's another thing. All these stereotypical names. It's like Ivan the Bear and Wei. Look, I'm get his name because I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna put it on the screen so you guys can see it. But Wei Great Wall Zhang. Really? I mean, it's all stereotypical name. Ivan the Bear, Valkov. So and I'm not being sensitive. I'm not trying to be like that, but I'm like, y'all could do a little better. I mean, you could do a little bit. But yeah, I get it. Russia, the Bear, and China, the Great Wall. Okay, I get it. All right. So they're both fighters. So they were interviewed afterwards. You got Wei, who ends up being friends with Marcus. We come to find out. And he actually gets him a return fight after that. And he offers flowers. Well, he hands him a card. Marcus thinks that's for his manager. And he's like, no, because Marcus is down in the dumps after his fight. He goes to the bottle and Wei shows up at the bar. And that's when he gives Marcus his card. And Marcus is like, what's this? And he says, it's my florist, go talk to your girl. Marcus goes to his girl, gives her flowers, and he starts to rebound his life. It just goes to show you just need somebody in your corner to help lift you up. Now, that part of the comic, that's solid, right? We all could use somebody in our life that helps lift us up when we're at our lowest point. So that was cool. But then we go to the bear, or we go to a reporter. So you have your Dan Rayfield type, and there's this young reporter who's popular on Instagram. She don't know nothing about boxing, but she's popular on Instagram and TikTok and all social media platforms. And she wants to learn about boxing. She's getting in the business. Kind of like some of these reporters that you see on DAZN. It's very similar to that. So they don't really know much, but their reach is great and they understand what gets views. So that's what they're really focused on, is what gets views. So she goes with him to see the bear. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it gets to another point. I don't want to just ruin the whole comic for people that maybe didn't read it and plan to read it, but I'm showing you like pieces of the panel as I talk, so that way you can kind of see how the comic is going. So this writer, what he's doing, he's trying to interview contenders that are going to be in contention to take on the champ that just knocked out Marcus. So the first one is the bear, and he's going. So when they're at the bear's house, he has a big old mansion. His girl really doesn't care for him. It seems like she's just with him for the money. It's all kind of stereotypical, y'all. And they ask the bear some questions, and then the reporter makes a comment. The bear's like, because she was talking about Marcus had beat him in a match, and then apparently it was contested by his promoter, who I guess has some pull, and next thing you know, that loss is off his record, kind of thing. And the bear's like, I won that fight. So the bear goes into his next fight, and they show up. Of course, they don't get the backstage access like they got before, because it was contentious when they went and met the bear, because they were meeting with different contenders. That's all part of this story, and the bear is really the focus of that. So in this fight, the bear is going against a no-hoper. You know, we've all seen it. And so what the reporter lady does is she calls him, what does she say? She says, fight or fraud. Because she's saying, look, the bear isn't really what we think he is. Or is he? Because of the competition that's being put in front of him. So she actually wants to see the real bear. But none of us really have. Is he good or not? Because he's knocking out no-hopers, you know what I mean? And then afterwards, because of that contentious situation that they had at the house about Marcus, the bear, after the fight, looks in the camera, and instead of trying to worry about the champ, he wants to fight Marcus. So he knows in the back of his head that he probably lost that fight. So he then goes, he wants to fight Marcus to show, look, I'm the real deal. Even though he was just talking crap about Marcus after Marcus lost his last fight to the champ. But now he's saying, I want Marcus. Give me Marcus. He wants to right that wrong kind of thing. Then they show Marcus on the couch. You see him there chilling. He hears the message. So you know that's going to come into play. That rematch is going to happen down the road. The reporter is sitting there with the grizzly veteran, Dan Rayfield type. And she's saying, hey, I kind of like this. I kind of like what's going on. You know, and then it kind of just goes to who they're going to see next. And it seems like he's starting to embrace her a little bit more. So, and then they're going to talk about the next episode. And then the next issue, it says Cameron and Lisa meet, because that's the Dan Rayfield type Cameron. Cameron and Lisa meet boxers Adrian Moreau and Ramon Valdez and begin to discover the unique histories that drive both fighters and keep them fired up in the ring. But I just wanted to talk about this. And the reason why is because there was multiple mistakes. There was the countdown versus counting up. The stereotypical stuff it's just unnecessary. You know, I'm not going to throw my hands in the air about that. But if we go back a few pages, and you remember at the beginning of the fight night, look where it says, the kid's fast, good leg work. Nobody says good leg work in boxing. They say good footwork. Oh, they have good feet. Look at that movement. But they don't say, oh, homeboy got some good leg work. Dang, look at that boy's leg work. Come on, Dark Horse. Dark Horse got to do better. But most importantly, the ring, the editorial, whoever the oversight is at the ring that's looking at this dang comic before it's released, they actually got to read it and make sure it makes sense. Because counting down from 10 versus counting up to 10 when somebody's knocked down within the first 5 pages of the comic should have been caught. That should have been caught saying leg work. That should have been caught. And it's kind of condescending, you know, with the bear and but we know it's a comic. We know things are kind of over the top and unnecessary in the comic. That's a little less of an issue. But the leg work and really the counting down thing, that's really was unnecessary. They got to fix that. If you're going to use like boxing terminology, or you're actually going to have somebody counting somebody down, and they did count down, counting somebody out, then the ref has to count them out the right way. And apparently the ref used to box too, so I don't know what he was doing. But either way, man. So first time in a long time me posting a video, and I know you're like, you really decided to post a video about a comic book? But yes, because I love comic books. I do love boxing. A lot of people are covering so many different topics in boxing. Sometimes I like to cover different topics in boxing, whether it's women's boxing, whether it's in like a story that's kind of on the edges or whatever. And I'll cover main topics. And that's why it's just whatever's on my mind with boxing. That's what this segment is. That's why it's called On My Mind. And this was on my mind because this is ridiculous. But I'm going to keep reading it and I hope the next episode or the next issue is a lot better than this one. But you can find this at your store. So if you're interested in reading it, if you like comic books like myself, you know, you can check it out and you can see it for yourself. I showed you a lot of the panels in here, so you know what you're getting. But I appreciate y'all. Till next time. Peace.